So welcome Anna Zubrovina, the head of PR for the Mercury Holding. So welcome around.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. Just quick correction, I'm head of PR for Zoom. Zoom is part of Mercury Holding, but now it's one giant department store that has a press service of its own. So I headed it, I think 2 years ago, but then I was before at Mercury. Thank you again. I mean, I'm just amazed how well prepared you are and how well determined, and what are the topics that you are interested in. It's really kind of revelation for me, because I think now even us, we talk on my job a lot about like millennials, about people of your age, and still we kind of talk about them, but now I can see that some of the topics that we do say to our partners, to foreign brands, that like Russian people are not interested in such things as diversity, as such things as I don't know, feminism. It sounds true, and they do interest you. That's really, I mean, thank you, Stefania, for helping me to be here, because I witnessed it myself. But it just was a quick intro. I'm so sorry I don't have any presentation. But I wanted maybe just to share some of the rules. I graduated from GIMO 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago. I used to work both on the journalist side and on the PR side. I used to work for business newspapers such as RBC Daily and Kommersant. And then I went on to Louis Vuitton and worked there for 6 years. And I quit it from the position of communication director for Eastern Europe. So I was responsible for Russia, Ukraine, Poland, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia. And that's basically it. Yeah, and then I took a challenge to go and work for Mercury, and I don't regret, just in case you're wondering. And now, so when I talk, when I think of, I see so many people now who are trying to apply to the position of intern or PR manager, and we do have a lot of people in GIMO now company, and you know, like you can always feel and you can see what's if it's, you know, like if it's going to be a success or not. And I think that now when I think about my like almost 15 years experience of working both as a journalist and a PR, I think there are some. Well, now I call them rules, but they were not that obvious maybe at that time. But now, when you know, like I made some mistakes, but on the other hand, I think I made some good things that basically drove me to where I'm next and where I'm quite comfortable in. So I just wanted maybe to share some of the insights that I will be super happy if they ever help you. The first one is just look around, wherever you are, at whatever stage you are, look around and see what kind of opportunities you have. Just, you know, like to make this jump. It can be, I mean, this thing is an opportunity. When I went to the university, I think one of the biggest both and inspirations and actual motivations and resource of insights for me was the exchange program that we did with the university in Surrey. It was a completely different experience, and I had to struggle to be in there because I had some comments on my discipline from the people from the management of the university. They didn't like them that I missed some of the classes, but I thought it was important for me, so I struggled for it, and it was really a very nice opportunity that I keep even now, you know, like have some insight, and I keep coming back to it, and I will be actually dwelling it a bit further. And I think that even this place in GIMO, it's full of very good connections and full of an amazing opportunity for networking. So it's not only going every day to class to get some knowledge, but also to get some people that most probably you're going to be, like your path is going to be crossed in the future. So also think about that, because every day can be, you know, like a way to the new opportunity. My next rule would be just start early. Don't wait for your diploma, for your degree to have it to already think about your job and to think about what you're going to do in life. I think now when people have, when they graduate, I think there's so much pressure on, have you found a job, what are you doing, what are your friends doing? So I think it's no really worth having it, and it's super important and super useful already to have some of the experience before. I mean, now you can really try and see other companies in terms of internships, in terms of some bona fide programs, in terms of some maybe, well, even like short programs really might help. Because for me, I started to be when I finished my bachelor, I changed the specialization and I went from international relations to international, how do you call it, MBDA, international business management. And to be honest, I didn't know a lot about it. So I applied to be a freelance columnist in a B2B magazine talking about management. So I thought, okay, I don't know about it right now, but I'm gonna know, like, I'm gonna, if I don't know something, then teach it. So, and it gave me a lot of opportunities because when you're a freelance journalist, you work with a lot of companies, you ask for information. So when I graduated, I basically had, I don't know, a pool of around 15 people whom I easily contact and, ask them to hire me. And I think it was very good, and maybe I could not afford to have this kind of freelance thing after already I graduated, because there was so many things happening that I really appreciated that I had some time, maybe in a more calm way, but already to understand what it's like to have a job. The third rule would be to follow your passion and don't compromise on it. Because I think that we spend in the office, on our jobs, more time that we spend with our families, than we spend with our parents or loved ones. And to be honest, I cannot imagine of spending that much time doing the work you don't like with people you don't like. I think it's really an ordeal, and please don't never compromise on it, because it's just, it's not good. I remember when I was working in Commerzant and I already started thinking about maybe trying on something new. I had an offer from the tobacco company. And financial-wise, it was something to dream on. My salary was 3 times more. They gave me a corporate car, and they even had retirement plan. So something that really, was something that was hard to decline, and I signed the offer. But then they gave me 2 weeks time, to start the job, and I understood that from now on, all my job would be either to write about tobacco that I completely did not. I don't smoke, and I don't feel anything about tobacco. If people smoke, it's their right, but it was just not interesting for me. What was worse, I thought that I would spend a lot of time and efforts and energy to make people not write about tobacco, because there are some of the nuances in the PR when the thing is that you don't have to write something, and it's really one of your KPIs. There are some companies that ask, we don't want to be in the public field, we don't want to be talked about, so it's also a job as PR to solve such sort of issues. And however attractive the offer was financially, and however actually I was looking for this kind of financial stability, I just said no to this position, and I got an offer from Louis Vuitton like three weeks after that, which really proved, I think, that was a right decision. I have also another example, a friend of mine, we went to school together, and she was always this sort of person who was doing the skateboarding, who was doing the skiing, who was doing the snowboarding. And she was not very good in mathematics or in physics, but her mom, who was somewhere in this field, she kind of made her go to the university with some technical mathematics stuff. So she was supposed to construct bridges. And of course, it never happened. And in the end, after 2 years, she just quit. Her mom was in shock and distress, and she said that she's going to ruin her life, etc., etc. But she went to Bali. And she met a guy, and they both now have the most profitable company on Bali, doing the being the personal tutors for very, very rich people and for their kids, or doing the surfing sessions. They are I think they are living their life and they're enjoying it. And I think it's very good also when you don't regret some decisions, and when you don't wake up saying, oh my God, it's just Monday. I think it's a nice way when you just understand, oh my God, this is just, of course in every work you have some periods when you are super stressed, and when you don't like your boss, or when you think that you just want to be left alone. It's life. But overall, I think you need at least to hope that you're gonna like your job, because otherwise it's not worth it. And my next rule would be stay critical. Actually, at this exchange program, when I went in UK, was the course. It was not compulsory course, but I decided to take it. It was called Critical Thinking. I was quite intrigued on what's going to be learned, and actually we had a very, very nice and insightful workshops of how to work with information. And they told us that you don't really need to. It was way before all this fake news thing. But even at that time, it was like an eye-opener for me, because even if something is written, it doesn't mean that it's like this. Even if some professor is telling you something, it doesn't mean that he's right. Like I'm talking right now doesn't mean that there's only truth. I think we all have the right just to ask questions and not to be afraid of our questions, and to have some respect for our questions, and also to work with information, because it really helped me like numerous times when like in a conversation I had with my mom, she's like telling me something completely confident in this, and I said, but how come you know it? Oh, I read it in newspapers. Okay, but it doesn't mean like, so wherever you have this critical attitude towards everything, even like when you first apply for the new job, and then someone tells you, and deep inside you feel that it's maybe not right thing, at least just ask some questions and to get some answers. Don't imply that even if you're a newcomer and this person works in the company like already for you know, half a lifetime, he or she knows better. It might not be the case. It might be still the case, but it might not. It's just not the guarantee. And I think we also need a bit to trust our own decisions. And even if we fail, I think it's much more like comfortable to understand, okay, I made a decision, I believed in it, and I failed. Okay, you can just think over, you can understand what steps you need to do next, just to succeed. But I think it's much more than you said, okay, I didn't want to do it, I did it, and I failed. I think this is something that can, like eat you inside out. And I bumped it for the interview of Marco Bizzoli, it's the CEO of Gucci, and he told that when he was taking the decision to appoint Alessandro Michele, the artistic director of the brand, nobody knew him, and it was a great risk, and there were like a line of famous designers to take on his position. And Alessandro told, okay, it was my decision, and I said, okay, even if I fail, and the people like would criticize me, but they would criticize me for my decision and for not something that I thought I would need, like to decide from someone else. I think this also gives you some personal comfort, even at the time when you make mistakes. And I think the last, but not the least, is how to think about networking. I think networking is a huge asset that can help us even more than like being in the right place and meeting the right people is not a coincidence. I think we need to work a lot to be in this right place and to meet these right people. And you don't know now with whom you are studying, but I think that like 99% that you will cross your paths in the future, in terms of your colleagues, in terms maybe of the friends who might help you. Like sometimes you feel that you need to ask someone for a friend, and then you open your WhatsApp and you understand that now it will be super impolite to ask for a favor this guy, because you remember that last unreplied by you by yourself this message was that like, I don't know, happy birthday or something, that you never replied to him or to her, and now you need to ask for a favor, and it seems like completely rude just like to say. And I have so many, I did so many times saying, oh, I just read your email, or I just read your WhatsApp like from 9-10 weeks. Sorry, I think I never read it. Blah blah blah. But then of course you go on. Just don't be like me. Be nice to people. And I think we really underestimate the power of our connections and of everything that that can help us afterwards. I think that's it.